um, how important it is to put into practice the stuff that we listen to in this room. I was really fortunate to have the time, the energy and the virtue to have 2 months of retreat. And without training, it would have just been 2 months of sitting in a room. But I'm fortunate to have solid training that turns into something. I was able, it only took me 20 years, to sort of listen to my teacher enough to forego my own bullshit stories about, oh, I should do this now instead of what he told me. Yeah. Or I should do it in this sequence instead of that. So I was fortunate enough to, at least at the latter end of the 20 years, listen enough to the teachers that were teaching me stuff. And I've done several retreats before, but none as deep or as long as this. And something turned on in there that I had read about, but I hadn't experienced before in my being. Yeah, and so I want to be able to give you that, but I can't. You know, I'd like. I was sitting there having experiences that were blissful, stunning, true, accurate. And because of the training and because of you, of being in this room with you, day after day, week after week, year after year, it's been like 6 years or more now, all those imprints in my mind, the wish to like, oh, I heard something, let me share it with you. You know, that wish had enough inertia, had enough energy to uncontrivedly come up instantly and say, that experience you just had, give it to this room, yeah, and then to others. And so it was stunning to see the whole sequence of the Dharma we're studying at work and seeing how the different parts fit together. So I'd love to be able to share that with you. I've got no real format. I just dumped down a few things, some notes that I took in retreat. I'm happy to do question and answers, but really more than anything, I wanted to be together with you, and thank you for interrupting my meditation retreat often. Like your faces came to mind non-stop all the time. Some of you I dreamt of strongly. Yeah, you. Yeah. And not just you. You came. And you're delivering wisdom to me in dreams and in visions, and I wish I could give it to you, but if you've had children or if you've been around children, you can tell them how to walk, you can put them in a place, but they take the step, you don't. You can tell them what a sound is like, you can say mama, you can say whatever the hell you want to say to that creature, but until that creature has the impulse to do it, they ain't speaking. So I wish, like a parent or like a friend or something, to say, please get your asses on the cushion for as long as possible and touch that thing inside of you that is stunning, because it's there, it's not there. Yeah, and all the bullshit that we do to get busy doing all the other things is just stopping us from abiding in that thing. Now, coming back to New York has been interesting, right? Because you can take your time and meditate, but that's what retreat is, where you're retreating from the disruptions, so you can have a visceral, full body, mind experience of something that is always there inside you, really, really, really. But without training, without the stuff we're learning, this lineage for me in particular, I don't know about other lineages, you know. I know that after enough time of telling your mind the basics of practice, your mind's going to tell you what you've put in it when it's quiet enough and still enough and reflective enough to show you something. It's not going to show you anything other than the stuff you've put in. So if you've put in anger, you're going to get angry. And I got angry. I was by myself and I got angry, right? Like no one's bothering me except the scorpions. Yeah, the scorpions. So I'd like to share that with you, and I'd like to answer any questions you have and just have a chat this week, next week, and the week after. And then I'm off to China to share this with 250 children screaming at me. And then we'll be back and start ACI 15, yeah, which means we're really close. So that was a long intro. Should we do a little mandala offering? Yeah, and retreat prayer. Javier, you want to be the umse?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. If you don't know what we're doing, it's cool. Just think of awesomeness and giving away awesomeness. Bukir Jishin Metotram Rira Lingshir Inde Gempadi Sange Shindu Mite Guargi Drokun Namda Shinla Chuparsho Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kam Ninyatayami Chudam Zoki Choknam La Janju Bardu Dakni Gyapsushi Daki Shinyen Gipe Sonam Ki Rola Venchir Sangye Druparsho Shudang Soki Choknam Nam Janchu Bardu Dakni Gyapsuchi Daki Chinyen Gipe Sonam Ki Rola Venchir Sangye Druparsho Shidam Soki Choknam La Janchu Bardu Dakni Gyapsuchi Daki Chinyen Gipe Sonam Ki Trola Venchir Sangye Druparsho. And really take refuge to the best of your ability to whatever you've habituated refuge to be. It's one of the core practices. So if you have that at the moment, think anything that comes to you, any goodness or any badness or whatever it is, if you take refuge, you can understand how to continue the good and get rid of the bad ultimately. Well, I took some notes in retreat and I'm happy to share them. I'm not happy to share them publicly, but I can talk to them if you need. Yeah. Anyone else need a cushion? We got extra. No? Cool. So, the good thing about coming back from 2 months or 2.5 months away from the 3 jewels, maybe a little more, because we had this amazing 108 lives trip beforehand, right? So what an end of year bucket of virtue, right? Like we had 30 volunteers go to Nepal post earthquake. Put up your hand if you were in Nepal this year. Yeah. Put up your hand if keep your hand up, and if you've been to Nepal before. Yeah, it's awesome. Thank you. So we did this year 30, or last year, 30 years, 30 volunteers come and hang out with us and work with projects, and we finished this school in this village called Phu Ping. And immediately after that, everyone came home, and I quickly logged onto Airbnb and looked for a place to do retreat. I had booked, yeah, it was like that, because I had done most other preparations. I want to talk about preparation first. Yeah, I've done most other preparation, but I forgot about booking a place. It was sort of last minute. So I thought, I could do there, I could do here. So I had booked my ticket to Nepal to do 108 lives with the 30 volunteers, which this year included my family, my mother, my sister, her children, my brother, his children, my mum's best friend, and both old ladies were like behind my ear in the bus. It was it was really quite special this year for lots of reasons. Also, it was a dedication to get my family over there, because my dear godmother, whose birthday is today, she died this time last year and left me a little bit of cash, and with that cash we spent it to get my brother and kids and mum and her friends over to Nepal. So they had this family reunion from England and different parts of Australia together in Nepal, taking care of children, doing virtue, and getting to know my life that they had no idea really what it was. They hadn't met a Jenna or a Stephen doing these things, you know, Rachel and so on. So from that busy organizing buses and hotels and food and the children and climbing up mountains, I'm like, oh, I had to pick up, I think, Rachel from the airport, and I only had a 20-minute block between picking her up from the airport and then next morning everybody goes to a faraway place without internet. I better book a location, and I found this incredible, perfect place on top of a mountain in East Java, Indonesia. Yeah. So you land at Yogyakarta, where the Borobudur is, about an hour away from there or two. And then I had to do a 3.5-hour drive from that airport to this little remote village with a private beach, and this little hill. And there was only this one house that was freshly built. I was their first Airbnb bear. I was a bear B&B. Yeah. That's the gay community. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, the jokes didn't go away in retreat. Yeah, some other things went away, but the jokes unfortunately stayed. Yeah. Sorry. Oh my goodness. Hi. Welcome. So I had done most of the preparation, obviously except the Airbnb, but I found it. The guy wanted way too much money, like $10,000 for the 2 months, and I said, I can't do that. I only have this much. And he's like, okay. I'm like, what? Like within a minute, you know? And I had to go to the airport and pick up Rachel. So I'm like, okay, while he's doing that, I'm like, how much are the tickets from here to Indonesia? That worked out really well as well. So I booked it, then said yes, then went to the airport. Then we went on this crazy bus ride to Phu Ping that was sliding off the road, and it was slipping, and it was really not nice. And we had one person.
I thought it was great.
I know, yeah. We had this one person who was bus phobic. I don't know what, you know, travel bus phobic, you know, or whatever that is, fear of. Like
fear of falling off a cliff.
Yeah, falling off a cliff. Yeah. A few people we had like that. But they fear of death. So I mean, it was an achievement, yeah. And then we got there, and the kids were awesome, and the village was fantastic, and we slept in various houses. And to see my family there doing this virtue was stunning. But in the back of my mind is like, do I have all the things that I need to do retreat? Because we learned that in these courses, right? In ACI 3, we learned all the stuff that we need for a proper meditation place, proper meditation sequence, we've learned all this stuff. But then I'm like, oh, I'm not sure if I'm fully ready. So I was nearly ready after I got that. So I had the location, I knew what practice I was doing, so I can't share the practice in detail because it's a tantric practice and that requires vows and commitments. I'd be breaking vows if I share it, but I can share some generalities about the practice and what that practice delivers you to. Yeah, I can probably talk generally about that. I'm happy to have discussion. But in essence, it's a meditation retreat. You remove yourself from the regular stimuli of your life, and we had a ton of stimuli. Came back from the village, said goodbye to people that were on the plane. Stephen and I had 3 days together or 2 days together. The fourth you left, right?
Yeah.
And then the 6th I was on retreat. I flew to Indonesia and off I went. So it was like, yeah, busy. Oh. And then it's your mind. So I decided, since I turned 50 in Nepal, I thought this is my meditation retreat. I needed it. I decided that the beginning of retreat would be nice. So I asked a local person to come and do massage on my body every other day for the first week of retreat. So I got like 4 massages in. So I'd be blindfolded, almost butt naked, right? And I'd be on my yoga mat, and then the door would creak open at 3 o'clock, because I'd have the key to this gate. You had to climb up this mountain, with this gate, open the gate. You'd hear the gate, I'd go down. The door would open, and then this thing happened on my feet for about half an hour, which totally sent rushes up my spine. And began to work. I don't know if you remember, my body was a little fatter. Yeah, than it is now. Yeah, she said, yeah, I remember. Yeah, that's right, I remember. Yeah. There's a lot of Hector in Indonesia. But you know what was embarrassing? I've been sitting here blah-blahing to you for, I don't know, years, and gradually I've been getting fatter and fatter, and to the point where when I hurt my knee, I couldn't sit, and you remember this, I had to talk to you, Emily. I couldn't sit in meditation, so I got comfortable sitting like this, and then like this, over the years, and I'm teaching you meditation, Fat bastard, my head would go, you fat bastard. I'm busy, I can't take care of myself, and I think that was a mistake, I sat the first session in meditation in that beautiful house and on top of this mountain in Indonesia, and I was embarrassed. I couldn't sit like this for more than 5 minutes. I ended up sitting the first session of meditation on a chair going, and it's interesting what your mind does, right? You're 50, you've had it, it's finished, it will permanently, because we like permanent, right? We think things are permanent, it'll stay that way. You're going to stay that way. And that was really demoralizing. And then Stephen came to mind. Sorry. The last hug we had when we said goodbye was, don't be a fat bastard. That's what I heard. He said something different. Yeah. He said something different. Please.
Don't be fat.
Yeah. And he was right. I don't like hearing that, right? No one likes hearing that. So the massages were really good. Like, he worked on my knee really well. He knew intuitively what to do, and all of a sudden had this little rush of prana in my body going, maybe I can sit. And day 2, day 3, day 4, all of a sudden I'm sitting in meditation. And then, of course, I promised myself that I would do all the yoga I'm supposed to do, that my teacher keeps saying I should do, and all the one I avoid because I'm too busy. Yeah. And so every day I would do yoga, and I swear to you, I couldn't, my forward, I couldn't reach my hands here, So fat bastard couldn't sit, fat bastard couldn't go forward, had all this stomach and all this stuff. I mean, I still do, but it's disappearing nicely. And I just took the time to take care of the conditions that would allow my mind to meditate. For me, it was fat bastard, bye-bye. Yeah? It was like, work on, be gentle on your body, get the massage going. And I tell you, this guy had this stone. I looked at it the last day, because at the end of retreat, I thought, that was so good, I'll do it coming out of retreat, just because. Yeah, and he had this stone, this 3-pronged stone. It looked like a wheel of sharp weapons, but with 3 prongs. It did look like a ninja star. And it had these different things at the end, these stones. And so he just put that, like reflexology, all the way up on my feet, on the soles of my feet. He worked that for about half an hour on each foot. And there were sensations here and here and here. And he's, he would poke over here and then keep doing the foot, and he'd do that. And, he knew exactly what to do, and it was brilliant. It really helped. So posture, the body, and then of course if the body begins to settle, the mind has freedom, right? And if you've got garbage in the mind, that's what comes up. And if you've got goodnesses in the mind, that's what comes up. So I had a nice mixture of both. Yeah, I had sessions in meditation that were stunning, that were unexpectedly perfect. I'll share this one experience with you. You get to a subtle, when you stabilize your meditation, which took me about 2.5 weeks, right? I'm doing one meditation, same meditation every day, minimum 3 times a day, maximum 5 times a day. And you stabilize that meditation, you go through a period of boredom, yeah, where your mind's like, yeah, do the meditation, but look, did you notice over there? Yeah. But then if you continue, because there's nothing else to do, because my mind says, but you're busy. I'm like, no, you've got no appointments and you're not going anywhere, you're not busy. But my mind kept saying, you've got to quickly write this down, or you should look up the meaning of this word. It used the busy and put it somewhere else, right? Because the habit was busy. Yeah, and that took some undoing. So after a couple of weeks of stabilizing the meditation, when you still, the Tibetans like using the reflection of the moon on water as a metaphor, right? And I'd like to use that metaphor not just about stilling your mind and seeing the ultimate nature of things reflected in that mind. I want to use that as what it's like to encounter another realm, to actually connect. And I don't want to sound all wishy-washy. I want to be clear. We are living in a realm called the human realm because our minds are habituated to thinking this is all there is. Yeah, and this is not all there is. Just ask the dog, okay? There is more than just this. Ask an ant. There's more than just this. And so we're uncomfortable in that because we don't see it, we don't smell it, we don't hear it. So there are other realms of existence that are available to a consciousness, to a mind. And this particular retreat is accessing a certain section of that other, yeah, which only exists in your mind. But you need to put in the right things to have that reflection in the still pond. Yeah? So I'm having this beautiful, blissful experience of that thing. I'm like, wow. Yeah. First of all, I think for the beginning I had this disease called premature realization. Yeah. Which means the watchfulness part of your mind was so excited that you were getting close to something, it kept jumping up going, Hector, we're about to see something! And I'm like, oh! And then all of a sudden it disappeared. Right? Seriously, you get into more and more subtle states, and then I had like an overactive gland, or whatever that is. It's called, yeah, premature realization, I'm going to call it. Yeah. And that's difficult to manage, right? Because we've trained that part of our mind to watch for dullness, to watch for agitation, but then it becomes agitation. It becomes the thing. So once you've stabilized the meditation, meaning the sequence that you're going through or the thought processes that you're focused on or the object that you're on, you're clear on, it has sharpness, it has vividity, it's clear. You get bored, right? Your mind gets bored, and so it starts yelling other stuff. And it's going to yell stuff that you've put in your mind, right? It's going to come up with stuff that's in you, your seeds, your karma. That's what's coming up, not something else, not something out there, not something independent of what's in you. So for me, my own flavors, I had moments in that still pond where it didn't really want to go there, that I'd completely forgotten about. Identities that I'd let go in Argentina, identities that I'd let go in Australia, identities that I'd let go as teenage, as a teenager, identities that I let go as an Amway salesman, you know, identities that I'd let go as...
Really?
Yeah.
Amway?
I know. It was only a short period. I have a theory about it. Because it's sort of like lineage. Yeah. The Amway lineage. Yeah. So I think I had seeds for it and I didn't know where to look. So I ended up, someone said, oh, okay. Anyway, until I met a Buddhist teacher and then I knew what that whole thing was about. I felt a little out of place because soap wasn't quite emptiness. Yeah. Yeah. So then this hot... So I'm explaining that the waters get still, you've habituated enough, you've gone through the boredom, you get into a state where you really get access to this other thing and you begin to see it, not with that excitement, say, Hector, you're about to see something, but with a reality, an understanding how it's dependently arising based on what you've habituated. Yeah, because it hasn't got a nature, it's empty. So you're abiding in that understanding without calling it anything, and it's not just empty and dependent arising, it's blissful. It's completely blissful. And so when you're there, your mind is like, it's another place. It's not this place. Yeah? So then, of course, you gather that, and if you want that to have impact in your consciousness, you grab it, you condense it, and you dedicate it. So the practice that I was doing has this section at the end where you grab all that goodness and you condense it and expand it and make it as huge as possible and quickly dedicate it for safekeeping so it grows in your mind, right? It's called dedication. And so at the very moment where you're about to say, oh, that was amazing, fantastic, yeah, beautiful, stunning, this little shitty voice comes up, right? Just it waits till the very last line and says, you're just sitting in a room by yourself, sitting. None of this will turn into anything. Like that. That just delivers this beautiful, right? And it was too late. I was halfway through the pushing it forward, and it just destroys it, right? And so that one particular moment took me like 48 hours to overcome, because from that moment that thing took ground and then just started destroying everything. Yeah, every asana, like every movement, every sit was a complaint about how revolting you are. Like all these things that I hadn't really felt that strong for so long. That you're not good enough thing. Yeah. You're worthless. You're just some schmuck. Look at 7 billion people. You're sitting in a room in Indonesia thinking you're all that. Like, it's doing this to you. Right? And so looking at it, luckily the practice that I was doing was a little wrathful, so I could kick its ass, but it took 48 hours of the mind delivering these things. Where did they come from? Yeah. To a complete surprise. I've never felt that way towards other people ever before. I've never judged other people that way ever before. Why do I get that? Yeah? So it's just a beautiful reflection of what's in there, but magnified because it's had time to grow. Now they're sitting there in you right now. And if you don't get to them, they're going to determine who the hell you are later, whether you like it or not. And so within those 48 hours, I mastered the power as best as I could to just, I knew I had to do the sequence. You get up in the morning when the sun gets up, you do your drink and think of it as something else, and then you do your stupid yoga, and you, which is amazing. And you just do the steps, and you sit your ass on the cushion, and then, can I tell you that? Stay quiet. I'm so sorry.
Say it in Spanish.
Bueno, there is this part of the practice, I'm not supposed to tell you too much.
Right.
There's this supposed to be part of the practice, I'm going to generalize it, where you make this special offering, yeah, at the beginning of this particular practice, and it's like, if there's an elixir on the planet that would solve everything, it's this special offering you're doing, and you must turn it into something extraordinary, beyond what you've ever done, right? And then you make this perfect offering, right? And you've got to be so careful with it. Like you're touching uranium, the opposite of uranium, whatever the metaphor is. I can't tell you how many times I'm like, and then just mistake threw it, just like destroyed it. It ended up on the floor. I stepped on it by mistake. It was just like, and then the voice would come, "You're an idiot. You're stupid. Like, look at you. You don't even know how to do these practices, etc., etc." Right? Where did those things come from? Right? So then you get to seeing what your mind is like, and when you've got nothing else to do and you've had training, you can just see it independently as that thing which just needs fixing, and not identify with it as that is me, that is who I am. Yeah, that little voice from back then, that's not who I am. Yeah, and either is the guy who's like, yay, that's not who I am either. Yeah, there's no I am that way. So the I am began to get in the way of practice around week 2 for me. I got too deep in here. Let me go back. Look, any questions? I know I'm just talking a lot, but I'm happy to answer questions. Hi.
Hi.
What's your name? How old are you? And where do you...
My name's Birdie, and I'm older than you.
You are.
Okay.
She's fine. She's fine. No.
So that elixir that you're talking about, was that all metaphorically, or were you actually an alchemist with like chemical?
Good question. I can't answer that properly, but it's more likely the latter. Yeah.
Wow.
Location, set material. Any other questions? You're welcome.
Will you lead a meditation for us?
Good question. I'm happy to lead a meditation next week. I want to give you a quick overview of the entire thing this week. Next week and the week after, I'm happy to lead meditation. But also, you're also welcome to come to the first 3 Jewels meditation retreat if you can have the time or the money to come. We're going to Nicaragua in March, and I'm hoping to condense these 2 months. I know what it took for me to push me into that state, and I want to get as many people as possible to touch that part of themselves as quickly as possible in that retreat. So that whole retreat will be an emptiness retreat. We'll be working on one meditation only until it's stabilized, it's deep. You're doing it several times a day, and you're going to go through that wave, but hopefully we'll do it quicker because we're going to have some awesome yoga in between. We're going to also have memorization and a whole bunch of other things that all add to the experience. No cell phones, no talking, no stuff. So yes, I can lead meditations here, but when you take yourself out of the other stuff and just give yourself space, and you've got training, you have to have these experiences. If you've been putting it in there with the correct view as best as you can, you must have these experiences. It's not that you have to try. Yeah, you actually don't have to try. You have to sort of relax enough to let it reflect. Yeah. So I'm happy to share it, but really the biggest thing, like I said earlier, the biggest thing that I got out of this is that bodhicitta as a natural reflex is possible. You all popped into my mind. I saw your faces. I had these sensations, and then and that feeds into itself and helps. So of course I want to share it, and of course I want to give it to you, but you need to take your time to do it. And if it's not Nicaragua, we should do another retreat, an urban retreat. And if not there, you can build a bit of this energy every morning meditating. Not doing it, don't do it. I know for the times that I haven't done it. Yeah. So in this retreat for me, I saw the gaps that prevented me from going even deeper than I noticed I could go. They were very obvious, and then you just get to work with them. You can get depressed about it, you can say you're an idiot, you can say you'll never do it, which my mind did often, but at the end of the day, whether it's this life or another, you have to look at the parts of your mind that are preventing you from bliss, and then they got to go. And you got to take them out. Like no one else is taking them out for you. You know, so I'll talk about the gaps later as well, but that's a good question. So internal practice, I did forget one big important part of this practice. I thought I prepared, but there's a bunch of offerings that you do, this very detailed Tibetan fire puja practice, that's pre-Tibetan actually, that you must do at the end of these retreats to purify certain things and to offer certain things. And it requires something like 16 different weird offerings, like unhusked barley and, crushed wheat and, mustard seeds and stuff. And I'm like in the middle of nowhere, leaving notes to the owner of the house on a Saturday night. He had agreed that he would get me food once a week. So the house was isolated on top of a mountain. He put a guard at the front so nobody would come in, and all I could see was ocean, a beach in the distance, and a little private beach down there. And there was no one around, no sounds, nothing. Yeah, and once a week I would leave my shopping list, which was just I became a fruitarian, for the exceptions of eggs, which are not fruit. Yeah. Fruit of the chicken.
It's not fruitarian, it's fruitarian.
Fruitarian. I like fruitarian. So I'm going to do that.
Okay.
Thanks. I want to identify as slightly different.
Yeah, the fruitarian has eggs.
Yeah. So fruitarian, is it? Fruitarian.
Usually.
Yeah. So I'd leave him a note every Saturday night. He would pick it up first thing Sunday morning, and we'd agreed that by Monday between 6 and 8 he would leave the things downstairs. I would be in session, so he would give me everything that I required. So 3 weeks before ending, I realized, I'm not prepped for that. So I thought, I'm just going to ask. He's in the middle of nowhere, like there's like 3 people in the village, right? And I'd have to eat whatever was growing there. Lots of papaya, and then lots of papaya leaves. I just, that's not fruit. Yeah.
Close enough.
Huh?
Close enough. Right next to the papaya.
And then these 3 weeks before the end of the retreat, I thought, just in case, I need this special list, right? So I dropped the special list of like 16 ingredients. I'm like, you don't have to, but if it's available, great. And then there's ghee and, stuff. So he leaves me a note, and he's like, I'm going to Bali next week, and they got this awesome organic this shop. I think I can get all of that. I'm like, what? So he did. He got all of it by one thing. And so I had an incredible finish of retreat as well.
I wanted to ask, you talked about like experiencing a bliss, right? And it's caused from things that you put into your mind, right? So was this like the bliss of like all these like wonderful things that you've done, like you've helped, so many old ladies across the street that you're just like experiencing?
No.
It's a different kind of bliss.
It's a stable state. Yeah, so that's where they come from.
Yeah.
That's where it comes from. It comes from your kindnesses. It comes from taking care of others.
Yeah.
It really is the whole body chitta practice, the whole body sattva practice, all of those 6 perfections, whatever you will need to do to get there, the 7 limbs, Tonglen, whatever it is, those imprints in your mind grow and provide a stable experience of bliss over anything you look at. Why? Because it doesn't have a nature. So, yes, it's the old lady that I helped, but it's not her appearing. You see what I mean? It's not like in a deep state of meditation, you still your mind enough to be on your object, yeah? But the object has a quality to it. It's like it's in the background, yeah? You see what I mean? It's like that's out of focus. It's not like an object's floating in nothing. Yeah, like when we're meditating, something is in focus, if you will, and something sort of sits in the background. And I don't mean just visually. I mean sensory. Yeah, so you have a sense of other stuff there, which is attached to your conception of that object. The bliss I'm talking about is when you're on the object of emptiness, which is that things don't have a nature from their own side. And then it's like spiraling into this universe that is sitting in a dot, so it's like, as soon as you realize that, as soon as you think that the object, the act of meditating, and me, the meditator, subject, object, and you pierce through that, you go into this expansiveness, this thing, and that had the blissful nature, yeah? I think that's what bliss void is all about. The bliss void, the Dalai Lama book and the rest. Yeah. But it only comes from. It's only reflecting what's in here. It comes from the old lady. Yeah. And so it then spirals. Because if you recognize that the bliss is empty of having a nature, that object is empty of having a nature, and that it came from your kindnesses, you just want to be kind. And then you see it possible, and then you want to be kind for real for the first time. Not just because you want happiness, you see it working, functioning to deliver this bliss, and then you don't want it for yourself. On the contrary, it's like in the Lojong where he wanted, when he was doing Poa, remember, and he's like, I'm trying to get to the deepest health and all I'm seeing is angels and enlightened realms. It's sort of that feeling of, oh my God, this is so all-encompassing, and it's just there, like it's palpable. I don't want it just for me, you know. And so your faces came up because this is where we talk about this stuff. Or people in deep suffering's faces came up when I had to struggle, you know, because once you get that once, you're like, I'm doing that tomorrow, and that's not happening because you can't. It's true, you know. It's like, I'm going to do that. It's not done. And so the language doesn't give it. It doesn't help us because it's not something. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, so then when you're trying for the next day, I'm like, oh, I have to try, and it doesn't work. Then you have to use other techniques. You have to play with your mind, and you have to have these techniques ready. You have to have these things memorized. You have to have some skill, and the only way you get it is studying. Yeah. So then they'll come up as an idea. Oh, why don't you try this? Yeah, you think you're so clever. Tsongkhapa gave it to you, you know, in the 1300s, or someone else, and you just learned it, and now it came up as you're a stupid idea, you know, and so when let's go bodhicitta, right? Let's go that feeling of bliss that you can experience in a state where you're meditating on the object emptiness. And then bodhicitta arises and you see the machine working, right, going, oh, it's like this spiral up of just wishing it on others. And then that delivers only more bliss, right? And then when you try to do it the next day and it's contrived as opposed to uncontrived, you need different techniques. And for me, the technique that worked the most to turn that bodhicitta bliss on was thinking of people dear to you, particularly your family, yeah, who are going through obvious suffering that's psychological, self-inflicted, yeah, like despite themselves they're in this state. And you have a heightened want for them to be free from it. Yeah. So then you remember yesterday, and you're like, "Oh my God, we can all touch that universe. That realm is really is. It's not like, oh, it's good study material. It really is. Your mind is capable of flipping from a state of normal to a state of complete and utter bliss." And it's valid, and you saw how it works, and it doesn't have a nature, and it's real. Yeah? And then you say, I'll try that tomorrow, that doesn't work. So you say, bring to mind the creature that most I want to be free from that suffering. And so I saw those people in my mind, and I just looked at their suffering as completely and utterly unnecessary. Like it's not, they don't have to do it, yeah. And then I imagined pouring into them these realizations, and then, as fake as it was just my imagination in my mind. I saw them having the realization I had yesterday. Yeah? And then the thing goes away for them. The suffering, imagining that once and for all, because they understood the nature of their reality, specific to their suffering, that they now have the real power to completely obliterate that thing. And so I tried that at the beginning, it was okay. When it really turned on was when I imagined their joy when they realized, maybe waking up 2 days later or 3 days later, that shit, this thing isn't coming back. And that smile came on their face. And they're like, oh, the anxiety or the depression or the anger or the fear, that's never coming back. Ever. Because I killed it. And then feeling their joy arise and their freedom and all the things they can do in a world as that. And then you can notch it up a bit more, but that I'll leave till the retreat in Nicaragua, because there was a third step that was even more stunning than that. So you can have an uncontrived aha. Then you use that quickly, give it away, work it. Yeah? And then when you can't have it uncontrived, because you've had it, because you've tasted ice cream, you know what the next ice cream might taste like. You see, if you've never tasted it, it's still just a hypothetical. Yeah? And then if you know someone that needs some sweet, then you imagine them tasting the ice cream, and then whether or not it solved their problem, that's another ripening. Yeah? It still comes from me. For me. For them, it comes from them. So I know in my mind, I planted a bunch of seeds that were the deepest seeds in relation to this topic that I have ever planted. Yeah? And they will and must give fruit. So on coming out of retreat, you see some evidence of whether or not for you it's congruent, and it seemed that that particular thing was... You have your own validation of your practice during retreat and when you come out of retreat, and this is the stuff you can't talk about. Because I can tell you some stories about retreat that are fantastical, but they won't be for you. You didn't do it. You know, I can tell you the incredible synchronicity and meaning behind this one movement or one action or one event or one encounter. And for you it's just a story. But for the doer, for the meditator, it's a valid confirmation of all the stuff inside you that is real. It's the same as what we call this normal reality, but pumped up. But I don't know if I'm being too vague, yeah? I'm trying to avoid telling you who in my family I'm fixing, and I'm trying to, so that, you don't have images of them, but I also want to give you enough information to realize that, for me, the realization came that work with your family first. Yeah? You have the screwed up partner, you have the screwed up mom, you have the weird dad, whatever you have these labels for these beings that are your family. You know, you think they're bloody permanent, and they are not. Yeah? They are also arising. And there's charge behind that. There's power behind that. Don't hide behind the power. It's painful to encounter because you've tried to work with them for 20 years and now you can't talk to them. Blah, blah, blah. But don't tell me there isn't a string inside of you that is strong with them. So then in this particular practice, you use those strings, the strong ones, and you work with them. It's just prana, it's just energy inside you. So then you turn it. And if it doesn't work immediately, nothing works immediately. It must deliver a result at some time. Me, lucky. Why? Listen to my Lama, wasted 20 years. Right? At the end, listen to my Lama, wasted 20 years doing nothing. And then had the fortune, the incredible fortune, to have this dialogue with you. You ask questions that are for me. Like I sit here, and when we do the refuge, I don't think you're the New Yorkers that are popping in, for a Dharma discussion. I try and think of what's the emptiness of your voices, what's the emptiness of your bodies, what's the emptiness of your consciousnesses. for me. And so in my mind, I'm planting seeds about you as miraculous, incredible Buddha creatures who are sitting here trying to get this one idiot to wake up. I try that practice, yeah, and I've done it for a long time. And I do it because I can't do more than one thing at once. I do it when we take refuge. When we do that 3 times, yeah. So that's my refuge. My refuge is emptiness, 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 emptiness in what's coming. And then that delivers something in meditation retreat. And it delivered something magical about each of you, you know. And this room, and this place, and the Dharma we're teaching here. Does it have a nature? No, I can put a whole ACI course out on the street in Manhattan and say, look everybody, and it just doesn't mean anything to someone. Yeah, we're turning it on with our actions, with our intentions. Right? So that's the preparation.
Another quick question.
Yeah.
We're not fixing them. Are we fixing the way that we see them?
Of course, but that fixes them. Because the way you see them is the way they are to you.
We're not curing their arthritis because you cannot change someone else's karma.
You cannot change someone else's karma, but you can change your way of experiencing them. And I don't mean I'm pretending that they are no longer that. I am believing that I've just planted seeds for them to never be that, for themselves and for me. And at some time that will appear. And now I can tell you
But
from...
you have to be there to see it appear. It can't appear something without...
You will have a perception at some time. See, this is the thing. So I like your question. The trick is, we think that they are there, you know, like they are that way, right?
Yeah, the arthritis seems real.
Yeah, the arthritis seems real. But all the things that arthritis means, yeah, and that is also real, right? So the suffering arthritis, the painful arthritis, everyone that has arthritis has the same pain, yeah. It's not the case. They are changing moment to moment, without you now, you know, like they are in your mind, but without you, things are changing. Let's go arthritis. Arthritis, lots of pain, no pain, no pain. Lots of pain, no pain, no pain. So which one are they? Which minute are they? Which second are they? Yeah? So they, for themselves, can abide in any one of them. Yeah? I think I can do this one. No. I'm trying to say that millisecond by millisecond we are changing things, dependently arising things, dependent on the projections that we are forced to experience on any object our mind sits on. My sister, my brother, my mother, my father, my uncle, my knee, the arthritis. And because our minds are changing, because all the seeds were planted, all the groups of seeds are planted different times and they're growing, they are creating your experience of that reality in a changing fashion. The cause is changing, the result is changing. Yeah. So can my loved one with arthritis ever be in a state where the arthritis appears as something else, or doesn't exist at that moment as I'm an arthritis victim, you know, and all the things that go around that? Is that possible? Can they be in a state of bliss with arthritis? You know? So I don't know the answer for them or for you. I can tell you the answer for whatever state you are in, whatever nature you are experiencing, it came from something. And until those causes are expired, which can expire by their own, because they've run out, they're ripen and they're gone, or you purify the hell out of them and they go quicker. Yeah, and that you can verify as well. You can do those practices. The changes that come might be of a different nature to the ones you expect. Yeah. Now, if you're in samsara and you've got this body has to go through its process. Yeah, the fruit has to drop off the tree. But is that process got a nature from its own side? Can I experience death, sickness and dying other than whatever the hell you're thinking that is? Really, if it doesn't have a nature, can the moment by moment change of this consciousness, Hector's happy, Hector's sad, Hector hurts, Hector's dead, Hector comes back as something else, right? Can that whole process, that transition, be experienced as something other than what we think it is? Because we think it's something, right? We think, you're dead, and then what? We all have something, right? Like, whether it's been trained or retrained, or you have an intuition about it or something, you think something. Yeah, you think radio silence, or you think blackness, or you think I'm a fruit. I'm a fruit. That's possible, except the fruit. Yeah, that's. But it's infinite possibilities because it doesn't have a nature, both the process and the object, and your perception of the object, the three spheres. Yeah, really it is. And I can't prove it to you in any other way than through logic, through the study, and you can only do it for yourself if you get your mind to that state where you see that as a reality. Yeah? So ultimately that is the ultimate realization of dependent origination, or you can have the direct perception of emptiness. Yeah? And that's where you're sealed, signed, sealed and delivered. But let me propose this to you. Before it's signed, sealed and delivered, right? We talk in this lineage about the direct perception of emptiness and the direct perception of dependent origination. Before it's signed, sealed and delivered, imagine a mind that can go there, can drop there. Yeah? Do you think that before that happens, that mind is clear enough, subtle enough, clean enough to have close enough perceptions that validate that as a reality, where you can be sure? Of course, right? So that's all you need to get to. But you need to get the logic clear. You need to get the understanding clear, get rid of all the options, and then meditate enough. Get yourself in a meditation state enough where you know you're not lying to yourself, you know you're clear about it, and you're experiencing these arisings, and you're like, oh my God, I just validated the fact that things arise dependent on my projections. Yeah, like I'm certain about it, more certain. All you have to do is get more certain than the other alternative. The one that we currently live in, which is that things exist out there separate to me, and you caused me my pain. Yeah? You are the source of my problem. Which is what we really think, walking around, yeah, Manhattan, that lady got in front of me, she pissed me off. She did it. Like, we have it in our language. Yeah, that ain't true, never was, impossible. There's nothing moving inside of you that you didn't put there. Doesn't matter how much hair Trump has. Thought I'd make it political. You see what I mean? Doesn't matter what you think is out there causing your anxiety about the president. Or not. No, it's true. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say, whatever you think is out there causing you your anxiety, that isn't where your anxiety comes from. And that is the tragedy of this planet. That is the tragedy of us as creatures. We think it is. And so we act against it or towards it ignorantly, creating more of the same, really. So I know I'm saying exactly the same words that I was saying when I was not in retreat, before retreat. But I hope you feel the conviction and the certainty that just a short 2 months of looking at your mind after putting all this stuff in it and not other stuff in it. Yeah, you hear it? Because it's just dependent arising on what you put in. Yeah. The conviction is different. The certainty for me is different. I saw some practices turn on that I didn't think, I still had a bunch of doubt about. And I saw some challenges that I knew where they came from. And I can't give you that. I wish I could. I really wish I could. I wish I could just, and I did in meditation constantly say, oh, Stephen, Rachel, Jenna, like the 3 jewels, like, have it. Have it. Like, I've touched it, you have it. Yeah? And then you see all the other things fade away. But I can't do it. Like, you can't do it for a kid. You can't make his first or her first words. Not possible. Yeah?
When you referred to the gaps, like you were talking about your meditation and there were some points where you were aware that you could have gone deeper but something was missing. Are you talking about virtue, or are you talking about like time put in meditating on certain things? Are you talking about studying Dharma?
I'm talking about your teachers, guru devotion. I'm talking about doubting your teacher and the system, which is natural at the beginning. You should check them out for like 12 years or something. If you have 12 years. If not, you should settle. Yeah? Seriously. I'm going to talk to the nominal you. I'm going to talk to the humans that Hector knew before. Yeah, the ones that just grow out of the planet without any real dependent rising courses. I'm going to talk to you humans. Yeah? You're going to die. For real, you're going to die. Yeah? And all the stuff you worked for, all of it is going to turn to shit even before you're dead. Yeah? All the work you did 10 years ago in that company, let's go 5 years. Yeah? All that effort you put, all the arguments you had with the boss back then, or the competition you had with that other, it's really, it's garbage. It's dead, it's finished. It really is, it's nothing. Yeah? Yes, it did something for a little period of time. So I worked in the electricity industry for a while. Yeah, we sent power, electricity, electrons through wires to hospitals and things, and it gave breath to people. Yeah? Most of the people working in the electricity don't think that. Yeah? I was thinking that thanks to my teacher. Most of us like, oh, pain in the ass, the customer wants power. All the things that I'm getting, all the things that remain in my life from that is a little bit of money, not a lot, because that turns into more, we can knock that over. And all the intentions that I had behind every argument that I had, every virtue that I did, every class that I took, every class that I gave, everything that I did, the only things that really remain in a vibrant, strong, powerful way is the relationships I had with people and the way I thought of them and what I did towards them. The rest of it is naturally disappearing if it's not already all gone. Honestly. So I'm talking to you, the humans, right? Everything really, it's gone. Bye-bye. You only have this short, precious human life for you don't know how long. Most of us are lucky, we might get old. If we're lucky, we might get arthritis. Seriously, some people don't. Some people go before it. They don't know when. And I'm not saying it to scare you or freak you out. I'm just being factual. Yeah? So, in that state of reality, you got to think what comes next. You got to question whether something comes next. This philosophy says the mind can end, the body don't end. Yeah, like the mind, like the body. Did I say it right, or did I switch it?
Switch it.
Yeah. The body will turn into other stuff. Your atoms or the matter here will feed worms and become trees or whatever. This physical stuff will turn into more physical stuff. And the mental stuff will continue as mental stuff. It won't be called Emily, Maybe it will, but that'll be a fluke. Yeah, so where did that future Emily get its impulses from? Where did the mind of that future being get its wishes from, its wants from? It came from a previous moment of that mind stream. theory, right, for some of you. For other of you, you've got to really think about it. If that's true, meaning you're creating some future you, yeah, which isn't you, yeah, it's some future being who's going to have impulses, hopefully towards Dharma, blah, blah, blah. What I'm trying to say is, this experience you're having, the connection with this mind and this body, this beautiful moment where you're alive and fresh and alert, and you've touched an idea that says your universe is moldable. You can shift universes. You can transform your entire existence. Not just you, but your world. Samsara can end. That this has come up in your mind, right? And things are dependently arising. So it couldn't have come from nothing. It can only come from some other insights of wisdom and truth seeking that mind of whoever was there before Emily put into that mind. Yeah? Lucky you. Lucky you. Really lucky you. In this room, lucky you. Most of the world is like in quicksand, searching for something, and they think it's in the Mercedes or in getting your rocks off or blowing your mind out or looking, I don't know, 6 ton of makeup on or whatever it is. We think that's going to make me happy, and that one and that one and that one, and they're like in quicksand, looking in the wrong places for the nature of deep, lasting joy. Yeah? Perfect bliss. So with all that preamble, if things come from your mind based on what you've put there, you encountered some being, a teacher, right? A person. It doesn't have to be a formal Buddhist teacher, right? You encountered some being in your life who touched that bone inside of you that woke up this wish to wake up. Right? In the East, they do this no problem. Guru devotion, Lama devotion, no problem. In the West, we're a bit weird about it. So we don't talk about it. I don't talk about it too much, and definitely not enough. To answer your question, Rachel, my biggest gap that interrupted my meditation over and over were all the years of doubt and judgment I had towards my teacher. Now, some of them were healthy. Some of them were good. But some of them was ego-driven and Hector, selfish, idiot, stupid, wasting time, not aware that time is ticking and you're going, not really aware. Yeah? So what is to have a teacher? What is it to have a being appear in your world? If everything comes from the seeds you planted, if things don't have a nature, imagine 7 billion humans crawling on the planet, lost for meaning, and then they experience somebody who lets them play that string inside of them that just resonates with complete awesomeness for a millisecond. The possibility of freedom from suffering. The possibility of truly, of waking up, enlightenment, truly seeing what exists here. Now, because we're in samsara, because Hector's got nominal mind like everyone has, you're going to see that. And then you're going to see normal, he's got a wart, or she's got a wart, or they scratched their bum, or they said the wrong thing, or look what they did. And then you're going to have, if you have good seeds, you're going to have that being again deliver you some meaning. And then you're going to have normal, and then you're going to have meaning, right? Just like we have everyone. But this particular being is more than your mum being happy and your mum being unhappy. Yeah? Or your boyfriend liking you and they're not liking you. It's more than that, because they touch that string, that song that you know at the core of you is, oh, I've just touched an ultimate thing. So Lama devotion, for me, came up as a huge gap. Not serving my Lama properly, and I'm not talking weird culty stuff, yeah? I'm talking about, it's nothing to do with him. It's recognizing the reality that for me to have just 1 hour of a being teaching me a method that can free me from suffering could only ever have come from me. My virtue, the goodnesses stored in this being are now focused and concentrated fully on that creature, reflecting back my purest virtue, even if it's for 10 minutes. So then how do I keep that going? This is what my gap was. It's not by going, oh yeah, thanks, I'm doing all the right things outwardly, but then internally going, why'd you do that, you weirdo? You know, disrespecting or etc. Right? Not truly diving into the reality that you should understand logically, that you're practicing with everything else. He's just another one of everything else. He can't be one of everything else. He is the unique reflector of the highest virtue you could ever have, or she. And then if you do that to that being, they might piss you off most of the time. That might be your teaching. But if you understand karma and emptiness, this lineage is very clear on it. And that's what I got most out of retreat. The machine works. It's a Rolls-Royce engine. I'm not putting VDAP parts anymore in it, which I was trying to save money. Yeah, I was like, oh, maybe I can. I was. I'm like, maybe a shortcut. You know, it doesn't need a carburetor or whatever. Unfortunately, the system is the system. Is it self-existent? No, there are other systems. I don't know other systems. I can validate this one for me. Yeah? Why this one, Hector? It's the one that landed on my lap. It's not the, it's not the one I went looking for. It definitely wasn't the one I went looking for. It's the one that forced itself in my life. And then I had a choice, in or out. And most of the time, at the beginning, I was out and then in, and then I was more in than out, and then I'm really in, but I still have some outs. And so that manifests itself in the middle of meditation. So the meditation I'm doing lasts for about an hour and a half or something like that. It's a long practice. So there's plenty of room for the mind to go. But, and the main thing that disrupted me was not understanding the link between seeing the teacher as the only access I have to all enlightened beings. I've had this touched a couple of times. Once in Nepal about 7 years ago or 8 years ago, where I had such profound doubt about my teacher that I was ready to jump ship. And then this awesome Lama just invited me to go to my first tantric puja. And I went, and it's just me as the only Westerner, and I sat there, and you guys, if you've been to Nepal, you've been to this monastery. It's a Sakya monastery. And they sat me down under a Buddha called Varachana. Yeah, and I sat there. And then they're doing this tantric practice. I have no idea what the hell they're doing, but my mind is full of doubt and I'm ready to jump ship. I'm like, maybe I'm going to be a Sakya practitioner, or maybe I'm going to do something else. Because I'm hearing too many weird things about my teacher, and maybe he's weird now. Maybe, it's a doubt. And I'm ready. And then, lucky for me, his words came into my mind, describing the nature of dependent origination and emptiness, meaning all the sounds I was hearing, all the bing bang from the drums and the things, all the lamas in their garb, all the beautiful paintings of all the Buddhas, I could name them. Yeah, I could see which bodhisattvas that was and which bodhisattva that was. I knew who that was. I'm like, I would never, ever in my entire life have known the names of these things, the meaning of those chants, never without his training, without his gift. And look at the rich meaning it's got right now. Look at the purpose it's giving me. And so my head to the ground, the highest part of me to the soles of his feet, even to the 2% that I don't like. Please teach me some more, because the only way to keep the teachings flowing is to serve them, despite yourself. And I don't mean be weird and silly and stupid and magical. I mean very clear. They are your reflection. They are actually the most shining example of the highest part of you. vomiting out your spiritual, and it's wearing out as it's coming towards you. Because when a seed opens and a tree comes, the seed's gone. So as it's coming to you, these teachings, and that's why it's so easy for us to drop off the wagon. Yeah. So for me, that was the biggest gap, and I saw it in those practices. Sorry, I'm keeping you. Let's have a quick bite, and then I promise I'll be finished by 9:40. Yeah, and I can share at least 1/3 of more of these things.
This is so great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, my pleasure. Yeah.
So